Chameleons are sought after pets, and I really have to interview people long and hard to make sure they know what they're getting into. Because of all the animals in the pet world, chameleons certainly are the hardest to stay alive. By nature, they're extremely skittish. You see this one doesn't want to be out in the limelight here. He doesn't like the bright lights that are on him. He wants to be in a tree and he wants to hide. But that's not possible today, so he'll be okay for a few minutes. As a keeper, he needs a couple of things to keep him alive. First, they really don't do well in a glass enclosure. Chameleons are like airflow, so a screen is much better for them. A screened enclosure where the air can flow through is great. They can also grab on the screen with their nails and climb all around it, which they can't do with glass. Worse than that, though, in order to keep them happy, is they will need a water source to drink from, and that is not a bowl. Chameleons like this do not drink from standing water. They drink drips. When it rains, they drink as much water as they can. But the only other water they get is basically dew in the morning that will form on the leaves and will start to drip off of it. And we'll often see them licking the leaves inside their enclosures to get their moisture. If we forget to mist them, or forget to put that moisture on, put a bowl of water and go away for 3 days, they will die of thirst. They do not know enough to go down to a standing body of water and take a drink. Some species, yes. Field chameleons, no. So you really have to be a diligent keeper and keep your animal watered as best as possible. There are a number of devices on the market to do that automatically, but there's nothing like an old plant mister that you use with your hand to make sure your lizard is drinking every day. As they get to know you, they'll take it right out of the end of the bottle in order to get their much needed water source. Chameleons are really an advanced lizard keeper's pet. You cannot be a beginner and keep a chameleon happy. They are very fragile legs and arms. They need to be totally camouflaged and have places to hide inside, or they become very short-lived. Even in the best of conditions, chameleons are not long-lived creatures. Some only a couple of years, others 5, 6, 7 years is about as much as you're going to get as a chameleon pet. So a wonderful, wow, what is that type of animal, but extremely fragile, and you have to think twice whether you want to buy a chameleon. Of all the chameleon species, veiled chameleons are absolutely the most hardy. The males get this beautiful crest on top of their head, and they actually can be taught to eat out of your hand by holding a food item here. They'll shoot it out of your hand, and he's a little bit too nervous to do that today, but he'll eat it right out of your hand, and that's a wonderful thing to observe in captivity. So there's the veiled chameleon, one of the best chameleons on the market.